Hi everyone, and welcome back to Cloud BI Academy. So, if you are planning a career in data engineering, Azure Data Factory, Big Data, Data Analytics, Data Science, and AI and Machine Learning, then learning Databricks is no longer option. So, today almost every large organization, including banking, healthcare, insurance, retail, manufacturing, and e-commerce, is using Databricks for big data processing. In this video, we will cover what Databricks is, why companies use Databricks, Hadoop versus Spark, Spark versus Databricks, Databricks architecture, real world use cases, pricing overview, Azure Databricks, workspace creation, UI walkthrough, and interview questions. By the end of this session, even if you have never used Databricks before, you will understand exactly what it is, why it became so popular, and how organizations use it. So let's begin. So first we understand what is Databricks. So before understanding Databricks, let's understand the problem. Imagine Amazon process millions of record daily and Netflix stream billions of videos. Facebook store petabytes of user data. So Can can a traditional SQL database handle this scale? The answer is no. So this is where big data technologies come into the picture. So Databricks is a cloud-based unified analytics platform built on Apache Spark. In simple word, we can say that Databricks helps organizations store huge volume of data, process data faster, build ETL pipelines, perform analytics, train machine learning models, build AI application, all form of a single platform. Let's understand with some real life example. Imagine we have a construction project. Okay, you need labor, machines, engineers, supervisor, and reports. So managing all separately is difficult. Databricks provides everything under one roof. That is why it is called Lakehouse platform. Now understand with the features. So basically here the features are data engineering, data analytics, data science, and artificial intelligence. I can show you some example. So first understand important feature data engineering. So here we basically build ETL pipelines. For example, we have a CSV file. We are doing our transformation on that. And after the transformation, we store that data into SQL databases. Second important feature is data analytics. So here basically we have generate the reports and dashboard. For example, sales analysis, customer analysis, revenue trends. Okay. Next important is data science. So this feature is basically build predictive models. For example, customer can prediction. Okay. And most and important feature is artificial intelligence. So here we have trained AI models. For example, chatbot, recommendation engines. Okay. Now we understand why companies use Databricks. So Many students ask these questions: why are organizations moving from traditional systems to Databricks? So let's understand with some reasons. So first and important reason is massive scalability. In traditional servers, we have a limited resources, but in Databricks, scale to hundreds of nodes, process TBs and PBs of data. Next and important reason is high performance. So Databricks uses Apache Spark and Spark process data in memory. That's the why 100x faster than traditional approaches. Third important reason is cloud native. So it it work with Azure, AWS, and our Google Cloud. So there we haven't any no hardware management. Okay. Fourth and important reason is collaboration. So data engineers, data scientists, analytics, business user can work together here. So these are the four reasons. That's why companies use Databricks. So for example, first we understand some example. Okay. Suppose an e-commerce company here. Okay. So e-commerce companies generates website click, orders, payment, and product review. So Databricks can process everything from a single platform. Okay. It means through our Databricks, we can process these things in a single platform. Now understand the big data challenges. So let's understand why traditional systems fail. So first challenge is volume. So in volume, we have a millions of record. For example, 10 dB, 10 TB, 10 GB, or we can say that 10 TB daily transaction data. Okay. Second challenge is velocity. So second challenge is velocity. So data arrives in every second. For example, online orders, IoT devices, and sensors. Okay, so these type of information we are capturing here. So how to manage these things? Next challenge is variety. So variety means we have a different type of formats. We have a CSV data, we have JSON data, we have a XML data, we have a images data, we have a videos. Okay, so this is the third challenge. And fourth challenge is scalability. So data grow continuously, traditional server struggles. And last and important is performance. So query becomes slower, and user complaining like that, business unable to like business decisions get delayed. So Databricks basically solve all these problems. Okay. So first is understand Hadoop versus Spark. So this is the one of the most common interview question. So use interviewer can ask question like what is Hadoop. So Hadoop is a big data framework, many component HDFS, storage layer, map reduce, and yarn. So HDFS, it is your we can say that it is your storage layer. Map reduce, it is a processing layer, and yarn your resource management. And Hadoop processing data stored in a disk. Okay, processing happens on disk. Every steps read and write data repeatedly, and that's why the result is slow execution. Now the talking about Apache Spark. So Spark is a distributed processing engine. Okay, so it processes data in memory. That's why it is a very fast execution. So we go through with some comparison. So first we're talking about processing. So because Hadoop is a disk based approach following, and in Spark it is in a memory. If talking about speeds perspective, so Hadoop is slower, and Spark is faster. Talking about the machine learning thing, so for in Hadoop we have a limited access, and for Spark we have a strong. Talking about streaming, so in Hadoop we have a weak streaming, and in Spark we have a strong. And if talking about development, so Hadoop is complex, and we can say that Spark is easier. So let's understand one interview question where interviewer asks this question to you: why Spark replaced Hadoop? So you can say that Spark perform in memory computation, reducing disk input output significantly, and providing much faster processing compared to Hadoop MapReduce. Okay, let's understand Spark versus Databricks. So many beginners think Spark and Databricks are the same. They are not. Okay, why? Spark is open source processing engine, need manual setup, need cluster management, need monitoring, and need configuration. But in Databricks, managed Spark platform. It provides Spark security, monitoring, cluster management, notebook, collaboration. Everything is ready. So, for example, we can say that Spark is equal to engine, and Databricks is equal to luxury car using that engine. Okay, so let's move to Databricks architecture. So this is extremely important for interviews. Architecture components, we have a plane that managed by Databricks. It contain UI, cluster management, and job scheduling. Next is data plane, managing customer cloud account. Okay, and it contain virtual machines, Spark, clusters, data processing, and third is storage layer, like our Azure Data Lake storage, AWS 3, Google Cloud Storage. So how's the flow is? I can show you some example here. So first is user. Okay, user going to notebook, cluster, Spark engine, data lake, processed, and last one is dashboard design. So it means Databricks architecture consists of a control plan managed by Databricks and data plane and deploy in a customer cloud account. And the control plane handles cluster management and workspace services, while the data plane execute Spark workloads and access storage system like ADL, LS, or our S3 bucket. Let's understand with some use cases. So, if talking about Databricks use cases, so first we go through with banking. So, in banking through Databricks, we can do fraud detection, risk analysis. Okay. If talking about retail sector, so in retail sector, customer behavior analysis, sales forecasting. If talking about healthcare, so here we can do patient analytics, disease prediction. Okay, and for manufacturing, we can say that predictive, predictive maintenance and data processing. Okay, and if I can talk about one more case, that is insurance. So in insurance sector, like we can do claim analysis and fraud detection. So these are the some use cases where we use the Databricks. This is one important thing is there. So Databricks, if Databricks price overview, so pricing depends on compute users. Okay, and DBUs, that is called your Databricks units. Okay, so Databricks units, it is depend on cluster size, cloud provider, storage consumption, and workload type. So development environment, low cost; production environment, high cost; and always stop cluster when not required. So this save money. So let's understand how to create go to our demo section. Okay. So the if you want to practice this thing, so you can create as on user, you can create a free trial version. Okay, so you can use that one. I can give some base idea for that one. So here we have login on user portal. So I can show you. So this is your Azure portal. If I click on home screen, okay. So Azure provides free credits for learning. So we will use those credits for Databricks. Okay. So first create Databricks workspace. So here we have type Databricks. Okay. Here we have an option of create. So this is the basic setup, like select subscription. Okay, Azure subscription one here. Resource group. So we can provide some workspace name, like I can provide cloud BI Academy. Okay, and in workspace name we can put Databricks demo. Okay, reason we can choose anything. Review and create. So it is taking some time. So let's explore Databricks UI. So our environment has been ready now. I can click here. So we are getting these are the options here. So we have the workspace where our notebooks stores. Compute, create Spark clusters. Here we can schedule the jobs, manage data assets, and run SQL query and visualization layer also. So first create our first notebook. So click on the workspace. Okay, and so in left side we have the option is like our workspace. So this workspace basically store all your notebooks. Okay, compute. So compute basically it is create the Spark clusters. Okay, and jobs it is schedule if you want to schedule anything. So here we can do that activity. In catalog here we can manage our asset. Okay, and in SQL basically we have run our SQL queries, and dashboard it is belong to visualization layer. Okay, so here we can create dashboards and all, something like that. Okay, like retail revenue, these are the some example. So and one more important, workflow. So basically workflow is used for pipeline automation and all the thing. Okay, so create first notebook. So we can click on the workspace. Okay, go to the create and create notebook. So we have able to choose create the notebook. Here we have the option choose the language. If you do your coding in Python, SQL, Scala, or Markdown, so you can choose accordingly. So by default, I can show you some demo here. So I have choose here for the some Python code, and here I can type print. Okay, welcome to Cloud Academy. So notebook is successfully connected to Spark cluster. So this is our first Databricks execution. Now we can understand something. So we have create the Azure account subscription, deploy our Databricks service, and create. Now the key interview questions. So first interview question: what is Databricks? So Databricks is a cloud-based unified analytics platform built on Apache Spark that support data engineering, analytics, machine learning, and AI workload. Next important question: why Databricks over Hadoop? So Databricks offer faster processing, easier management, cloud native architecture, collaboration features, and built-in Spark or optimization compared to Hadoop. Why Spark become popular? So Spark become popular because of in memory processing, high performance, support for streaming, machine learning, graph processing, and ease of development. What is a DBU? So Databricks unit is a unit of processing capability used for building Databricks workloads. And most important question like explain control plane and data plane. So control plane manage workspace services and cluster architecture, and data plane executes workloads and processes customer data. Here are a few important question like talk about photon data lake and fully managed infrastructure, so you can go through with that one. Explain lazy evolution directed acyclic graphics, the unification data warehousing feature on a top of a data lake. Okay, so you can go through with these ones also. These are some sources where you can understand the logics. So these are the reference for them. Okay, I can provide these references to you. You can go through with one by one. So today we have learned Databricks. So what is Databricks? Why organization use Databricks? Big data challenges: Hadoop versus Spark, Spark versus Databricks. Databricks architecture, use cases, and pricing. Okay, did we go through with the Databricks UI demo? Okay, so in the next session we will cover Databricks workspace, clusters, notebook deep dive, where we will create clusters, understand cluster types, notebook execution, languages support in Databricks, and real world development. If this video helped you, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Cloud BI Academy for the complete Databricks Masterclasses series. Thanks.